Yeah.
No, 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 I would rather, no, I would absolutely rather. Sure. Much rather do that.
Fall, right?
I got it to work. Madison had one. Yay. Mine's at home on my printer.
Marquez's.
I know her name, never met her in person. She's the closer of the title company. Really?
Sent an email because I had a closing today and she was supposed to close it.
I wonder, because last time I closed with her, Alex closed with us instead.
Well, and it's been filtering off, but like,
And then last time I worked with Hannah, not
okay,
me.
so Hannah just sent me an email going, I'm closing this today. I'm like,
I need to take Amy off my stuff then. I've got her as my principal closer on all my offers. So we need to find out for sure if she's there or not.
no, she's not.
She's not.
No, they just sent me an email.
Oh, they did, saying she,
Amy Marquez no longer works for Platinum.
glad they told us. She's been our assigned closer for like 4 years.
I've never even met her, so.
I haven't either in person, but
That's weird.
I think it is too, now that you say that. I wonder if she worked remotely or something. Okay, so who'd they assign you to? Hannah today?
Hannah,
Okay.
but I don't know. Take over. I've had Alex and
I have two. Alex, I thought went through stuff a little too quickly. That's just me.
Hannah goes,
Because like my client had, it's like, one time I was sitting there trying to interpret it. Give me a minute to explain to her what the document says.
No.
They have a right to know. I know. It's like, I mean, I don't want it to take 4 hours, but people need to know what they're signing.
well, have some semblance of like. I would call it bedside manner, but.
Yes.
It's not customer service really. It's like, hey, like, you're technically sound, like. But just slow down and like make them
Because
feel.
my last two clients I closed with them, both were non-English speakers for first language.
Oh my God.
And so it's like, just give me a minute to try to explain this. And then, Abhi doesn't speak, he's Indian, so he speaks Hindu naturally, but I don't speak. So it's like, so he said, can you repeat that? It's like, of course. What, say it again so he understands what you mean.
And the only the last sound. Business, because they're like, I don't need to go through this crap. I already been through.
Right, yeah.
Anybody else, like, well, my understanding. None of my clients.
Interesting. I really liked the guy that sent, I had to do a remote close because my client was in a nursing home and they sent the remote notary. He was wonderful. He explained all the documents, pointed to the lady where you need to sign because she's 90 years old. He was very, very helpful. So I wish we could get him as the closer.
Chris,
Oh, hi, Kristen. Okay, don't show that again.
it's just you guys are just hanging out,
Yeah, until, well, everybody starts filtering in at like 9:30. They're always late.
jumping.
Yeah, we get a lot of people on Zoom all the time. And one morning on that rainy Tuesday morning last month, I had like 14 people on Zoom.
I know, who's that Olivia girl, she lives in Lawrence.
Well, we have two Olivias.
Uh,
Okay, I think it's the new one.
yeah,
They're both tall, blonde, and thin. Not helpful. Like
she's new. I haven't met.
one's Olivia Pope. She's Kit Halterman's granddaughter.
Okay.
And then one is Olivia goes by Liv. She's the newest one, so it might be her. She's also young.
I asked her, I said, you go by Olivia. But she said, they may
Either.
have called
Well,
me
her
that.
profile says Liv, but I've only met her once or twice.
Those are the only people I met.
Yeah.
I see Ellie every once in a while. I've been seeing Ellie at Bolton.
Yes, she's doing Bold. Yep. Yesterday she had her first inspection during Bold, and it's a duplex. And Jim Vogel is an agent here in the office. He's the listing agent, so that's convenient. But something happened and they couldn't get in on the tenant side. Tenant wasn't there. Jim doesn't have a key. I'm like, yeah, so they couldn't do the inspection. So they only inspected half the building. She's like, what do we do? It's like, well, we coordinate with Jim and get the inspector back out there. Do I have to pay again? It's like, oh, we'll see what, Avid says, but you can't inspect half a duplex when you're buying the whole thing.
That's what. Same thing happened there.
Yeah.
It was on the buy side.
Frustrating. It's like, come on,
Yeah,
coordinate
it's
with your,
ridiculous.
I understand it's the tenant. They don't want you in there, but tell them we have to be in 2 p.m. on Wednesday.
So tenant, we were knocking, nobody was there, like nobody, we knocked 3 or 4 times, so we entered. And she got down, Just like- You know, so all 3 of us from the house, like,
Wow.
did you know, luckily her boyfriend was there.
And he was
And
fine
he
with her
wasn't-
walking
and he
around like
wasn't
that.
Combative, he wasn't combative or anything, I was like, hey,
But-
like, we knocked 3 or 4 times, they're like, we thought we heard something, like.
Jeez. Yep.
This is a roommate situation, so there's 3 roommates,
Yep.
so she worked late and then the other 2 roommates left, but the contact didn't let her roommates know.
No. Yeah. Of course not.
I'm like, who's banging? Wow. Oh, I yelled twice and then.
I've encountered people in their bathrobes and
Oh, what is-
stuff before. It's fun to watch how other people live, isn't it? I
Oh,
mean-
or not.
It's like, wow, guys. Okay.
I don't see that we have many people coming on.
No, and there's nobody in the room with me yet either. We still have 4 minutes according to the clock here.
Okay.
Anna, I know, is participating. She already asked if we're doing it on Zoom.
Yeah, I saw that. So she'll be coming on.
Yeah, the only one I've heard from. Tuesday, how many people were here?
Oh, we had a lot. We had 6, 7 people,
Okay.
and we had about 5 on Zoom. So we had a good crowd.
Well, hopefully they will all be back this morning.
But it was of course slow to fill up. So
It is.
happened.
It's always slow to fill up. Good morning. Well, Olivia are you to go by Liv or Olivia?
Yeah.
Olivia walked in. Okay.
Awesome.
Yes. And then I'm printing off that's Olivia. That's the one. David's like, I just met a new person named Olivia. It's like, that's her. Okay. Let me go get the print off. I printed it off, make a few copies. Did you have a copy from Tuesday of the materials?
No, I was on
Okay,
Zoom. for
okay,
that.
let me go get you one.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Good morning, Anna. How are you?
Pretty good. How are you?
Good.
That's good.
We're just waiting for Megan to get back. She's printing up the student books, guides for people in person. Ellie's coming on.
Angel put those skeletons in the office. Every time I walk by, I think there's somebody standing there.
I know, he's so
It
funny.
takes me by surprise. I'm not used to it yet. I love the wig on him too. I'm like, oh my goodness, that's hysterical.
We have an automated witch, a full-size automated witch, and I keep it inside. It's in the dining room. And when Mike first puts it in there for the decorations, it takes me a little bit to get used to her. And luckily she's not plugged in right now because she will go off every time the sensor catches you.
Hi, Claire.
Claire's coming on, Jaden's coming on.
It's coming on.
And you have your cameras on. Thank you, thank you.
Are you co-hosting?
Yes.
Good. I thought so because I can't see anybody. So I want to make sure.
Yeah, I've Elena's coming on. You
Yeah,
should be able to see people. It's just
I
your,
can see the admit. I probably just how I have it set up.
yeah,
I just
no
see you.
worries.
Oh, yeah, there they are. I just have to click over.
Yeah. Okay, we're getting there. Well, let's get started. Online, we have Anna and Claire and Jaden and Ellie. Good morning. And then who do you have there in person?
Olivia. I'm sorry, what's your last name?
Melias.
Melias. Yeah, we have two
Olivia.
Olivia. Yeah, we're gonna have to figure, yeah.
Is David staying? Is he?
No, David was just walking by chatting.
Oh, he attended on Tuesday, so I was wondering if he was going to attend.
I'm on my way, but 6:35 had a bad accident, so I'm stuck
Oh.
in traffic.
No worries, Jaden. Drive carefully. Take your time.
Yes, I
That's the
have.
good thing. You can always listen. Even if you're driving, you can listen. Don't watch, just listen.
David's working in the room next door, so
Okay, okay. No worries.
he
No.
might come in.
Well, we will get started. I'm home because I'm not feeling 100% and I didn't want to share anything with anybody. It's like you don't know if you're really gonna get sick, but you don't feel so great. But I am fine to teach class today on Zoom. So I am so glad you guys are here, and I didn't want to stop and postpone our learning about farming. So let's all check in. I'm going to put up the code. Please check in. There's also a bit.ly link if you have to type it in because you're on your phone. So if
Got it.
everybody will do a
Yeah.
class check-in,
I've got
I
a
would appreciate it.
printed one.
Oh.
See if that works. We're trying to get the, let
Well.
me go get the code from the office. It's hard to see on the screen here.
Also, if you're in person, you can also bring up on Zoom. You will have to turn down the volume on your Zoom and your computer, but you can also follow the slideshow on your computer.
All right, we got it here. Thank you.
Yay, good deal. Get everybody all checked in. I appreciate you checking in, and I do get notified when you check in. So I know if you do or you don't. I get emails showing me everybody who's checking in, so I appreciate it. That's how we know that you're participating at a high level. Remember, the launch program is designed for high participation. It really doesn't work if you don't participate, and the learning, the training is on you. That is your responsibility to get that all under your belt. And that's why this program is 1 year, because it takes time to get all this information under your belt. I wish I could just like download it into you and then you just go. But in real estate, as you're finding out, especially those of you who are so new, you're finding out you've got to learn and go do at the very same time. And that's not always comfortable, and that's not how most of us have done learning in the past. We've learned things, and like when you're in school, you learn a chapter or section, and then you take a quiz or exam and you move on to new material. Or at the job, there may be some initial training when you start a new job, and then you'll have some, you know, hands-on training. Well, in real estate, you are literally learning and should be doing at the same time. And when I say doing, that means jumping into your lead gen activities. And some of you are going to say, "Ooh, I don't know. I'm so new. I don't even know how to do an open house." Well, remember, digital chalk is how you're able to then go do concentrated learning on a type of lead gen activity before you go do it. So you're able to immerse yourself. There are videos on open houses. There are recorded classes in digital chalk. There is my open house booklet that is packed with great information of how to get prepared and pick out an open house, how to do the open house, and what do you do after the open house. So remember, that's what's so important, and that's why we pay attention to who's immersed in the training and the activities.
Good morning.
All right, well, let's get going. As you remember, if you were with us on Tuesday, we started the discussion about farming. And I just want to review one of the slides because I think it is a good slide to review. Let me get, or it will let me go forward. Come on, here we go. Let me find the slide that so the different types of farming that we're going to cover today, let me, shrink this down a little bit. And that we touched on Tuesday is geographic farming. That is, where are they? And that is traditionally in real estate where we, as real estate agents, are taking a subdivision or a portion of a subdivision and we are doing targeted marketing and activities in that neighborhood so that we can build long-term relationships and be top of mind with the people who live there. Demographic farming is, who are they? Are you going to focus on first-time home buyers? We talked about how currently single women are outpacing single men in buying houses by a pretty significant gap. Or are you someone who is bilingual and want to focus on your community? That's what demographic farming is. Psychographic farming is, what do they like? Targeting groups of people who have interests and hobbies and lifestyles. Like lifestyles can be luxury lifestyle or people who interested in buying vacation homes or people who like to live on lakes or by water. Or it could be people who, we have several agents who really focus some or most of their business on their passions and interests and hobbies. And one of them is Kylie Willis. She's an agent in our office. She has fostered dogs for I don't know how long. She has 7 dogs in her house. And that is her passion. And so what she does is because of that, and because she's always talking about what she, uh, her dogs that she has and the ones that she's rescued and everything, many of her clients are dog owners. And so one of the things she's added to her marketing this year, or just this last half of the year, she is partnered with one of the shelters, and she is doing a weekly feature of a dog that needs a home. That's a natural fit for her. So that's the difference in the different types of farming. I don't want you just thinking about geographic farming because that's what gets talked about the most. But there are other types of farming, and I want you to be open to see what's going to be the best match for you. So when we stopped on Tuesday, we stopped on the myths. So let's go into the myths. We talked about myth 1 and 2. Myth 1 and 2, farming takes too long, costs too much money to justify the efforts. Yeah, it can cost some money. But I'm going to tell you, if you're not afraid to knock doors and walk a neighborhood and leave flyers and talk to people or leave postcards or what have you, you can do this with just time and effort. And myth number 2, someone else dominates the farm and gets all the business. No, that's not true either. Very rarely do I find, they say here 25 to 30% of a market share in a geographic farm. I've never seen anybody have more than 20%. And that was really high, and that's not very frequent. So I do the research to see who's been selling the most homes or had the most buyers. And you can do all of that searching on MLS. But that's not going to dissuade me. That's just going to tell me that somebody else is actively marketing to that neighborhood. And then I just have to decide if that's what I want to continue with. Make sense? Let's talk about some other myths that I want to debunk. Let's talk about myth number 3. A farm limits you to that area or specialty. Actually, it actually creates efficiency in your marketing and your efforts because if you're doing a geographic farm, you're literally sticking to an area. And once you've started to create and capture market share, then you can grow and go beyond that farm. But it doesn't restrict you, it just gives you opportunity. And remember what I said on the one of the beautiful things about geographic farming, or even psychographic or demographic, could be that it can increase your average sales price. You can't tell your database where to live. They live all over Kansas City, and in your database are people at all different economic levels. When you farm, you can farm a specific demographic group or psychographic if you do like luxury buyers or lake living buyers. That's usually a higher price point for those homes, or you can just pick a subdivision that has a higher price point. If one of the things I will challenge you with or tease you with, I don't know if it's tease, but I want you to think, if you pick a geographic farming area, and let's say you don't pick your own neighborhood, maybe you rent, maybe you're in an apartment, so that doesn't make sense for you. I'm going to tell you, find a subdivision or neighborhood near where you live that you would love to live in. Because if you're going to spend time, effort, and money in an area, and you've got to commit, in my world, you've got to commit for a minimum of 1 year of farming an area to get true traction, then pick an area that you would aspire to live in. I think that kind of makes it fun. You can pick out your new house as you're walking the neighborhood and getting to know it. Myth number 4. Farming is all about mailers and mass marketing. Yeah, in the past, agents didn't think big enough when it came to farming. Many of them were just doing the mass mailings and mass marketing, very indirect marketing. And that was it. That's what I did. I didn't know there was truly different ways or layers to farming. But you need to do the indirect along with the direct, meaning you got to be out in the neighborhood. They've got to start seeing you and getting to know you. So that's why a lot of people pick a neighborhood that is their own or one right next to them. I had an agent, a new agent, and I remember she would go walk her dog every night, and she'd walk the neighborhood right across the busy street, couple blocks from her house was an upscale neighborhood. And so she just walked that neighborhood, and she did it every night and every over the weekend. And she started to talk and see people while they were working in their yards. And she actually, her very first listings were her getting listings from meeting people as she was walking because they got to recognize her and greet her and talked with her. And so I think that's pretty impressive. And one of the reasons I remember one of the potential sellers she was talking to, she came to me and she said, Kristen, they're talking to other agents. I said, well, here, we talked about different ways she could stand out. And one of the things she was really good about is when she met people and had appointments with them, she always sent a handwritten note. And to this seller, that was the differentiating point that they said, I was so impressed you took the time. Nobody else I met with, took that time to send a personal note to me. I spoke to that person, and that's how she got some of her first listings. So, yes, the mass mailings, and especially when you're new, you probably don't have the money for the mass mailings. Then you literally do the deliveries on foot by delivering them by hand. Now, remember, you cannot put anything in a mailbox. Nothing. I don't know if you all know this. I didn't know it until I started knocking doors for politics, and then I already knew it for when I became an agent. But you can't put anything in a mailbox that doesn't have a stamp and doesn't go through the post office. The post office owns the mailbox. Even if you bought it, they own the mailbox. So you can't put anything in there, but you can leave something at a door. You can put it in between the storm door and the front door. I've tried all different things. You can get little plastic bags. Those are a nightmare because they're slippery and they will slip out of your hand and go scatter all over. I didn't like them. You can just do door hangers, printed little things that can just go on doors. That's a really good option. Or just put it between many people have a storm door, and you can put it between the storm door and the front door. So there's different ways to do that. Myth number 5, you can stop and start farming efforts as you want. No, this will not work. This will not work. This is not a stop and start. Actually, real estate's not stop and start. I think there's a lot of misperception and misrepresentation on TV about what we do and how we do it, that you can do a little real estate and then do none, do a little real estate and then none. Well, you could if you just want to help family and friends and wait for them to reach out to you. But if you're truly building a business, you can't stop and start this business, meaning your activities and your marketing. Those have to stay consistent and persistent. And those are the two success words. Those are the 2 words that will get you to success in real estate, being consistent and persistent. If that is a challenge for you, then that's going to have to be something you're going to have to work on and build that ability. Because if you start, then you have to stay in contact or they will forget you. Do you remember what we talked about when we were talking about database? In how many days will somebody forget that you're an agent? How many days does it take on average for them to forget you?
16.
Yes, bingo, Anna, good job. In 16 days, they will forget what you told them. So you're farming, you send them something. In 16 days, they're going to forget that you even sent something, okay? Or that you knocked on their door. You have to stick with it and you have to be consistent and persistent. Any questions or any other things that you have or questions that you have or concerns you have in farming that maybe are holding you back from thinking about doing this? Anybody? Okay.
I just want to share that I'm going to be doing a food drive for my neighborhood
Love it.
next week. So that's how I'm farming.
Jaden, I love that. So that's one of the most effective ways is do a food drive. I think, Jaden, you're going to go door to door and pick up if people let you know.
Yes, yep, that's my plan.
Also, you can have it, I've seen it where agents have had drop off in their driveway and then have like cider and donuts for anybody who comes by. So there's a lot of different ways you can do this, but doing, people, it makes people feel good to do something for a nonprofit or a charity organization. It shows also, here's the reason you do it. One, because most likely Jaden feels passionate about doing something like that. And it shows that you're community minded to your neighbors. And that really is how we should look to homeowners, to neighbors, to farm areas. We should look community minded because what we do as agents actually impacts neighborhoods and communities. Because every time we help someone buy or sell a house, we're helping make changes in the neighborhood. We are. So people really respond to agents that are community minded. And I will tell you in Kansas City, it is an expectation. I don't know if you know this, but I used to be in nonprofits and work for like the American Cancer Society and some others. And I found out that Kansas City ranks in the top 10 of most charitable cities in the United States. And the reason I share that with you is because that means we have a history and tradition of giving. And that is expected in our community that we give back. And that's a wonderful thing. So it's not just a marketing ploy to do a charity event and what have you. I think it's part of being a community. And I think as agents, we have a duty and a responsibility to give back to community, and it keeps us more grounded in a community. So I love that Jaden's doing that. I've seen heart like food donations. I've seen coat. One of our agents, Candy Massage, one of our experienced agents, she just did a coat drive last weekend or the weekend before at the office. Remember, you can reserve the parking lot for drop off. You can reserve the cafe, the training room, and the back patio to use at no charge. The only thing we ask is you leave it clean. Leave it clean and back in place. No trashing. But that's available to you, especially if you don't live in the neighborhood that you are farming. So just some thoughts for you.
Hey, Kristen,
Yes.
question, like, if you use any community events as you're farming, I mean, what's the scripts should be, and like, do I put it on my marketing materials that I'm a realtor so people don't think, oh, I'm just lead generating, you know? So
Well,
how do you present it? Like how, I
that's a
mean,
great question. I think you do put that you're an agent on there as a member of the community. It's my honor to give back, and I'm putting together a coat drive. If I look at Candy Messages, she just has coat drive, and here's how you do it. And then she had giveaways. She had sponsors um, give her items so she could have giveaways that people could put their name if they did a donation.
Uh-huh.
Then they got their name in the pot for
Okay.
one of the giveaways. I don't usually see that, but that was a great idea. But it's just doing a flyer and then putting down at the bottom that you're an agent. And I don't think you have to, people, I don't think you have to explain it much.
Uh-huh.
If it's something you're passionate about,
Uh-huh.
then some people are going to know that anyway about you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but in terms of like collecting the data for my database, I
Uh-huh.
mean, I guess I can use public records because if I know certain neighbors where they live, but I don't know like their emails, I don't know, like I
Well,
can
and that's
only.
so here's how you can do this. One of the reasons I believe that Candy did that giveaway is because they could register. I think she did it like an online registry, and
Uh-huh.
you can capture their information. Or I don't know how Jaden's doing it, but she could have like a QR code or something that they sign up for so that she
Uh-huh.
knows to come pick up the donation because she's going to go door to door and pick up the food donations.
Mm-hmm.
So there's different ways you can capture that.
Okay.
You don't, here's another way is if you have them drop off the
Mm-hmm.
items or whatever it is, then you can have something there that says, would you like to sign up for my informative newsletter monthly? It's got
Uh-huh.
everything about real estate and current market housing stats for Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
I liked Alice isn't on, but I really liked the script that Alice used at her open house to get people to sign up for her 36 Touch, for the office's 36 Touch with the monthly newsletter.
Mm-hmm.
She want great information and the ability to maybe win a prize every quarter, a nice prize.
Yeah, yeah. Because I feel like with me, it's like I'm calling for action, but I don't capture the action. Like, okay, we need codes and like, but then there is no like follow up like for people and me to really connect. And I think that's where I'm missing in
I
what I'm
get that.
doing.
I get that. And that's a great question. So you have to think of the different ways that you can do that. Are you going to go pick up the coats? Then they need to, you need all of their contact information to go do that. So you send them, hey, fill this out so I can come by
Uh-huh.
and pick up the coats.
Mm-hmm.
Or do you want the chance to sign up for my informative newsletter and be able to participate in my quarterly giveaways?
Uh-huh.
For some really nice prizes and
Okay.
great information about housing.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, it is, we have to figure out how do we give a call to action that they sign up. You know what? You could also, you could say if anybody's interested in investing, I've got a booklet I can send you, sign up today, and have a form that they sign up with so that you capture um, their contact information. But yes, that's what we have to do. That's why when you're farming, instead of you have to have a call to action, a reason. You can't just give them information. You also have to say that have a reason for them to respond back to you for something, for information. Do you want to know about upcoming events in the Lenexa area for the fall? Put together a little event calendar. There's a ton of them out there. Do you want to know about the best maintenance tips to get your house ready for winter? Do you want a booklet on investing 101? Those are the types of things that will get them, you want them to have a reason to reach back out to you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned the investment booklet. You also mentioned that there is a free booklet somewhere,
Yeah,
right?
if you
Where?
if you signed up to host the investing seminar, you already got, I
Oh,
sent an
okay.
email, and in that email was an attachment to the investing
Uh-huh.
booklet.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
If you didn't host the investing seminar, then reach out to me and I'll send you the PDF of the booklet that you can send to people.
Yeah, I think I've signed up, so I should have it. Thank
You
you so
should.
much.
If you don't, let me know.
Uh-huh. Thank you.
Okay, let's keep going. Next slide. Let's get the next slide going. Come on. Get my computer to wake up. Here we go. Let's talk about in selecting your geographic farm. You want to look at the factors to consider. And then I'm going to, Alice is coming on. Then I'm going to share with you here in a minute. I'm going to share with you a form that you can use to evaluate a neighborhood. But let's just talk about something. What is the goals? How much business are you hoping to get from farming? Now, if you went to David's business planning clinic, which you should have done, if you didn't have the opportunity, then please reach out to your coach or myself and let's get you started on putting together your 2026 business plan. Because actually, the minute you have it put together, then you should actually start enacting that plan now and not waiting till January. So one, you have to define your goals. So if you're focusing on 3 forms of lead generation and geographic farming as one, your business plan is going to help you determine how much business you are wanting to get from farming activities. Instead of just hoping, you have to have a targeted goal of what you want to get out of that activity. You should have it for every lead gen activity, like open houses. You're probably not thinking goals when you're thinking goals of, I want a client, right? But I want you actually thinking more strategically, like every open house, I want, my goal is to get 3 leads or 3 contacts. I have an experienced agent in my growth coaching program, and he needs to grow his database. And he is very strategic about it. He's been doing open houses. He wants to get his database past 350. He was at 300. We talked this week and he's grown it by 25. And so he's at 325 and he's done that through open houses. So there are ways you can grow this database, and that's one of them. And farming's the same. The size of the farm, start small, but don't start too small. Here's what I'll tell you. You need at least an area of 200 houses that you're going to farm to get enough turnover to make it worth your time, effort, and money. You cannot farm, or it's not very realistic to farm like 20 houses and think there's going to be enough turnover to for you to get a return. So 200 is your target. There are subdivisions that are bigger and smaller. One of the largest is over where Meakin, near where she lives, at Knoll Hills. They have over like 1,300 homes in that subdivision. That's really big. Usually they're from 300 to 500 houses in a subdivision in Kansas City, like on average, but you want at least 200 houses, okay? And then this is going to ensure that you're going to continuously feed your database with haven't mets. How many haven't mets do I need from my business plan? This is where that business plan is so essential. It's going to actually tell you how many strangers you haven't met you need to talk to every week and every month to get the business you say you're going to get. Turnover rate. Target areas with 10% annual turnover. We'll talk about this a little bit more, but that turnover rate, I'm going to tell you 10%, 10 to 12% is traditionally the turnover rate. I will tell you in the last year and this year, I'm going to tell you it's more 4 to 5% turnover rate. That means the percentage of people moving in and out of a neighborhood. And it also applies to your database. Turnover rate for you of your database is probably 4 to 5% maximum. And it may be, and then yours is going to be impacted about how many people you can convert. As a new person, your conversion skills and percentages are going to be a little bit lower. Competition. Again, researching, going into MLS and seeing, is there any other agent? And I go back 2 years to research. I go back, and in MLS, you have to separately search listings, how many listings in a 2-year period, and then you have to then look and go down and see who sold that listing. I would look at the listing agent, and then I would also look at the buyer's agent too, to see if there's any agent who's also sold a lot of those properties versus the people who have listed it. So you've got to do 2 searches, one for the listings and then one for the solds if you want to see, but you can probably see all of that from the listings. If you go down far enough, you'll see who the buyer's agent was on the MLS for that property. So it takes a little time to do that, but again, I don't want you doing your time, effort, and money on something that you don't research. Budget. How much money are you going to have to spend? And I would break it down monthly and then see what that totals up. So if that means sometimes agents will like leave little pop by things. And those pop bys are like just little things that make people think of you. Like in the springtime, leaving some flower seeds and a little note saying, there's just clever sayings. You can actually go on Etsy or Pinterest and find a lot of clever tags to put on things for pop buys. Or maybe it's just a flyer with good information about investing or about downsizing, about selling your home, about keeping your home, doing upgrades to your home, that type of thing. But you've got to think about, do I have the ability to spend any money every month on this? Can I do any mailings? Can I do mailings quarterly? Maybe I can't afford to do mailings every month to my farm, but could I afford to do it quarterly? I don't know. Events. Can I do a donation event? Some agents have done like paper shred events. They've done where they get a shredding company to come in to a neighborhood and set up their van or trailer or whatever. Or like junk, haul away junk, have a big dumpster in a neighborhood, or a lot of agents actually use our parking lot and set it up and invite their database to do that. A lot of those agents, here's a seed I want to plant with you. They partner with other people to help pay for that, to sponsor that, like lenders, title companies, some insurance agents, other house-related businesses may be interested in helping you pay for that. You don't have to always come out of pocket for that. Location. Consider accessibility, boundaries, the home types, the desirability. Is this an area that people are looking to move to? That's why looking at the turnover rate and what kind of activity goes on is really important. And remember what I said on Tuesday. I think it's really important you pick a farm that's probably close to you or close to the office. You pick something that's too far away and you're not going to know what's going on. This should be a neighborhood that even if you're not walking the neighborhood to knock on doors or leave information on that you can drive by. You do little drive-bys in the neighborhood to see, oh, are there any for sale by owners? Or, oh, what's going on? That type of thing. What's the average sales price? Because you need to see, is this a price point that I want to be in? Market conditions. Analyze the days on market for that neighborhood. What's the inventory look like? I look for, in certain markets especially, I'm looking for, are there a lot of cancellations and expireds that have gone on in that neighborhood? And I actually, when I'm doing this research, I'm looking 2 years back, because I really want to see I want a bigger picture of what's been going on in this neighborhood instead of just a small snapshot. Does that make sense? Hello?
Yep.
Thank you. I want to make sure you guys are alive and awake. That's important. And then a fit. Is this a neighborhood you'd be excited about farming? That you'd be okay spending a lot of time in? So those are the things. So I'm going to go to, hold on a second, and let me share the form, and then I will post it in the Facebook page. But let me go to, I'm going to pull this up and
Kristen, I'd like to add something while you're looking. I farm my own neighborhood that I live in.
mhm.
And one thing that is helpful when you're getting involved in farming is to participate in all the neighborhood activities. Go to the potlucks and the 4th of July parade and see if you can't get on the HOA committee and start getting involved in the community as well as just farming it, because then people know you, they learn who you are, they learn, to be your friend. You want to be in that community as much as you can, if at all possible, especially if you already live there. I mean, it was a natural for me because I already sat on the HOA board. And I already organized the progressive dinner every year. And so being involved like that helps maintain
Oh,
this relationship.
definitely. You have to, you can't, if you appear to be a stranger and know nothing about the neighborhood and you don't participate, that's one reason a lot of people choose um, select, their own neighborhood, because they know that's where they are.
Yeah. You're already there. You already know most. Like I have 101 houses in my neighborhood. I personally probably know 70 of the houses.
Yeah.
Just because I've lived there a long time and I make a point to meet all the new neighbors that come in. And so, and those, yeah. So it's pretty easy to do once you start getting, into the routine of it.
Definitely. And that's what's so important, is that it has to be a good fit for you. It just has to be. Otherwise, it's not going to work. So hold on a second. And it's not coming up on here. It's got all the same categories that I just showed you. But let's see. Let's go in here. Maybe it's in my old versions. I should have pulled it up, but since I didn't feel very well, super good this morning. And if I can't pull it up right now, then I will load it up, and it just gives you a worksheet covering what we just talked about. Make sense? Yeah, I'll have to look for it later, and then I'll upload it on Facebook for you all. And I apologize for not having that up and going. But these are the things you're going to consider and do the research on. And this form has 2 sections for you to compare 2 different neighborhoods if you so choose. But make sure it's worth your while. And you should be thinking about this on all your activities that you're doing. It shouldn't be that, and here's where we're talking about turnover rate. The turnover rate is the number of homes sold in 1 year divided by the total homes in the area. So if 10 homes sold and you're looking at 200 homes, right? So 200 times 10% equals 20 homes changing ownership per year on average. You target 25% market share, and that could be, and you get 25% of the market share of those 20 homes. That's 5 listings for you every year. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? So scale to 500 homes with 50 turnovers, and that means you'd get 12 to 13 listings with a 25% share. And please know that you may not get a 25% market share on year 1, right? But you want to grow to that, and you can. But remember, here's what I hear when you're marketing, when you're farming your own neighborhood. Megan, has this ever happened to you that you're driving your neighborhood and you see one of your neighbors and they have somebody else's sign in the yard?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, and you're like, dang, they didn't reach out to me. What happened? Well, you're not going to be everybody's cup of tea. And you never know, they might have a cousin or a sister-in-law or whatever that's an agent. You just don't know.
Well, and in my neighborhood, I go to the Trailwood Elementary Schools where we feed into, and Missy Price over Better Homes and Gardens has been an
Uh-huh.
agent for 25 years, and her kids went to Trailwood. So everybody knew her first. So, there's always going to be that level of somebody else maybe out there before you, and now you have to start getting yourself involved in the community, let them know you're an agent, and it takes time.
It
So
does
I don't
take
get mad
time.
when Missy gets the business. She earned it, but
Yeah,
I've gotten
and
referrals from my neighborhood. So I'd say it's working out quite nicely.
see, and that's what you want. You are not going to own a whole neighborhood. I remember this one new agent. This was years ago. And when I was a broker at my other brokerage. And she came in and she said, I am so mad. I am just livid. I'm like, why? She goes, there is another agent marketing in my neighborhood. It's my neighborhood. I'm like, wow. Well, we don't own any neighborhoods. We don't. We earn the business. We're not owed the business. And I was like, whoa, this mindset is not going to serve you well. It's just not. So be okay and know that sometimes here's what you don't want. You don't want to lose business because you didn't do enough to let people think of you as a real estate agent, that you only marketed to that area 1 or 2 times and then somebody uses somebody else. Well, then you probably weren't consistent and persistent enough for them to have thought of you. So remember this, the typical seller owns their home for 12 years nationally. Those starter home communities often have a higher turnover rate. So if you want a higher turnover rate, maybe you have to go to a little bit lower price point. Always research your specific market using MLS past sales data. And they're saying even go back 5 years. Like I said, I go back a minimum of 2 years in doing the research to get a real feel from this neighborhood. I really want to know it. And then you're going to want to drive the neighborhood, see what amenities are close by. If you don't live there, then maybe you don't know where the closest shopping is or what schools they feed into. That can be very important for people with school-age children. Although we can't speak to the value, to the quality of schools as agents, we can definitely be aware of what people are looking for. And if they have school age children, then schools could be one of their number one. And if you don't know what schools feed into your farm area, then yeah, why do you think Johnson County homes sell for more? What do you think on average? Why do you think that is?
The
Better
school,
schools?
Schools. It's the schools. I mean, think about it. Most of those subdivisions were were cornfields, and some of them barely have trees. If they're newer subdivisions, they barely have trees. Whereas you could have an older home and more walkability to amenities. You wouldn't have to get in your car like you have to in so many suburban areas in Johnson County. Um, it's because of the schools. So although we can't talk, like I said, as agents, we can't talk about the quality of schools. We do need to acknowledge that it does make a difference on where people are looking for homes. So let's talk about specific demographic and psychographic targeting. And single buyers, 33% of singles are becoming homeowners, a growing segment often overlooked. Does anybody know what the new average age is of a first-time home buyer in the United States as of last year? Nobody knows that?
It's 30 something,
38.
38. Ooh, that's older than I thought. I thought it was 33, 38. Wow.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Well, think in the last couple of years, what's the economy been like? And think about also how many people have student debt. That has slowed a lot of younger people from moving forward and becoming homeowners.
Yeah, you can't get a mortgage. Well, you can, but then you have all the
Can
debt.
you afford it?
Yeah, you can't afford it with your student. loans. Yeah.
Pet-friendly neighborhoods, like I said, Kylie Willis is one who's a perfect example who she hasn't looked for pet-friendly neighborhoods. She's looked for people, their passion is dogs. Student housing investors, here's something. You may want to target, let's say you've got kids college age or high school and they're starting to look at colleges or think about colleges. What would it look like if you target those people because you know a lot of them because you're in that same age range with your kids and start talking about and inviting them to learn more about when they send their kids off to school? What about buying an investment property, making certain your kid has roommates and those roommates might actually pay the whole house payment? That's a brilliant idea. And then it's growing in equity. One of our agents, Danielle, her husband had been transferred here. She joined our office. She just, in the last couple of months, moved back home to Alabama. And we miss her terribly. But when she was in college, she and her parents bought her an investment property, and she still owns it and makes good money off of it, and it's grown in equity. And she was saying, yeah, I don't know. I might get rid of it, but it's been such a great passive income for us. So she didn't even sell it after she graduated from college. So that is a great target of farming to a specific group. Waterfront or golf communities. Does anybody love to play golf? If you love to play golf and you have a favorite golf course, what would it look like if, or a golf course that someday you aspire to play? Then what would it look like targeting and farming that area? Like we mentioned, first-time home buyers, condos and urban living appeals to young buyers. That is a lifestyle. Living in an urban area is a lifestyle that many people, and you've got not only young people. I don't want it just to be thought of as desirable for young people. I know empty nesters who no longer want the maintenance and the landscaping and the yard work that they have to do with a home that move to an urban setting coming from a suburban setting.
I was just gonna say, people my age are definitely considering that. I have lots of friends wanting to downsize, get rid of their big suburban homes and their yards. Yes.
They don't need that anymore. They don't need to be by those schools anymore. They want a different experience. So I hope this helps open up your mind of all the different choices that you have out there. Let's keep going. Additional high potential niches are generational marketing. Okay, so I would say generational homes. Megan, you're a perfect example of this. There are families that are looking for homes or properties in which several generations of a family can live together or live at least on the same property together. Isn't that what you're looking for, Megan?
Yes, and it's very hard to find.
Yeah,
There's such a demand.
yeah.
Some,
So
and so many
again,
areas are still restricting you from buying something and building a second dwelling. They're not understanding the need that's in our community for that. I wish that the cities would change their zoning rules.
yeah. And there's some that would be perfect for it. So you've got to think of that. But also then what it has on here, baby boomers. If you really want to target the most concentrated and the highest percent of potential sellers in the United States is baby boomers. They want to downsize or they have to move out of their house because they can't live there anymore. It is too much house, or they have mobility issues, or they have dementia, or what have you. But it is the largest group of potential sellers in the whole United States. That's why I was dumbfounded how few of our agents really hosted the downsizing seminar I had when it's your highest. It's your biggest group staring at you, and you know it's just a matter of time before they have to start moving. And they've got the most equity in their homes. Oh my gosh. It's a perfect storm that's going to happen. And so targeting those people, if you're part of the baby boom, then start targeting all your friends and family that are in that generation. If you are younger, think about your friends and family, their parents and grandparents. So don't think just because you're young, I don't know any baby boomers. Well, I bet if you have grandparents, they're probably that, or your parents might be. So you've got to start thinking about these. Where is the potential, and how do I put myself in front of that potential? A foreign-born customer, 16% of future first-time buyers will be from immigrant families. 3 times as likely to prioritize home ownership. You've got to understand what is the process for foreign-born to buy homes, but there's not a lot of, at least not right now, not a lot of restrictions for them. Luxury home clientele, luxury market is seeing a 9% growth. 81% of affluent buyers under 35 plan to purchase in the coming year. And then a lot of those people are looking for vacation homes or second homes. And maybe they're looking for investment properties. Hispanic, Latino buyers, they're expected to represent 14% of first-time home buyers. How can you help and assist that community? Second home and investors, like I just said, and other real estate agents. If you build a referral business, like I always tell people, if you're not from Kansas City and you're getting started in real estate, then you need to be reaching out to all of your out-of-town family, friends, former coworkers, people you went to school with, and letting them know you can help them find an agent wherever they live. And then you build relationships with other agents. This is a way of farming. And you say to those other agents, I'm going to send you referrals. I hope you will do the same if you have anybody moving to Kansas City. Again, we got to think big. Got to think of all the ways. Let's talk about working your farm. Time versus money. And this goes back to one of the myths. I don't have money to put into farming. Lead generation doesn't have to cost money. Farming doesn't have to cost money. It's about making smart investments of your time. When developing your farm, your primary investment is your time. The more you build and develop these relationships, the better you are. So If you have a dog, go walk your dog in the neighborhood. If you have kids, put them in a wagon. The former head of KW Maps Coaching, Diana Kokoska, I had the great honor of many years of training with Diana Kokoska, and she's a tiny thing. She's tiny. I don't even think she's 5 foot. Maybe, no, she's tiny, but she is a powerhouse. And when she started real estate, she was a divorced mom with 2 little boys. And she said, I knew that I couldn't just sit in my real estate office because people weren't going to come to me. I had to go to them. And she did door knocking. She put her 2 little boys in a red wagon and she would door knock. And that's how she started her business. So you can build a geographic farm of 1,000 homes within 1 year by spending just 2 hours every week going door to door. So 1,000 homes divided by 26 weeks equals 39 homes per visit. 39 homes times 3 minutes per home. It's 117 minutes. That's under 2 hours. So I know that for a fact because I used to door knock when I ran for political office. I knew how many households I had to cover before November elections. And this was from like August to November. And I had to map it out on how many doors did I have to knock every single day. Well, I did it at least 5 to 6 days a week. I knocked on doors and I knocked on over 4,000 doors in that time frame. So you can do that. That's how you'll know you should be knocking on that many doors before an open house. And I'll tell you, it's a great way to stay healthy. When I knocked 4,000 doors, I had the hardest calves and I was in the best shape. Yeah, it was amazing. So remember, be prospecting based and marketing enhanced. That direct personal contact is what's going to help your marketing materials and help solidify and reinforce and build relationships that you're wanting and needing to build in that neighborhood or with that specific group. Establish your reputation first. When you begin farming, success is going to depend on your reputation more than your relationships. And you're going to say, I'm new, I don't have a reputation yet. Well, you are associated with one of the largest companies in the world that has a very strong reputation. So leverage KW's credibility and then leverage our market presence. Look at our market stats and share those, because that's what's so impactful. Demonstrate core values, show that you're sincere and honest and that you're customer service focused. Show that you're community minded, like Jaden's going to do by doing her donation drive. Those things do get people's attention because they want to work with people like that. Establish expertise, become the neighborhood authority through knowledge and presence. You've got to know every time you're going out into that neighborhood what's been going on in the neighborhood. So you got to put yourself on an MLS search. You've got to be looking at the email that has the expireds and FSBOs on every day to see are any of those houses that are in your farm area. You've got to know market stats. So what's the average sales price last month in Kansas City? Anybody know?
265.
Go up, up, up. Add about 100,000 to that, Elena.
We had 2 of us thought it was 397. It's over 4?
No, it's not over 4. It was 374, I believe, or 378.
Okay.
We only got to 400 once this year, and that's the average sales price has ever been in Kansas City. And that happened once this year. And then it's been falling, it's been coming down because that was too high. It is and it isn't. If you're a seller, it sounds great. Okay. So you've got to know these things. If you're not educating yourself, if you're not proactively getting into MLS every single day and just absorbing the information and looking at the dashboard of how many new listings came on yesterday. Anybody know? How many new listings came on in the last week? Every single one of you should be able to tell me that. That's what you've got to be hungry for, that information, because you've got to develop the expertise knowledge.
Yeah, Jay
all it
said
is.
135 this week.
Oh, today,
Today.
Yesterday was 30.
Perfect. Love that.
Cool.
I love that you're looking at that. All of you should be looking at how many houses went under contract, how many sold. And then you've got to be even watching that if you're geographic farming, watching that every single day. Like I said, you need to put yourself up on an MLS search so you know what's going on, what's going under contract, because then you can let the neighbors know, hey, did you know your neighbor, they had their house on the market? You maybe not even saw that they had it on the market because it went under contract in one day. Or you know that house that's had a sign in the yard for a while, they finally went under contract. Now, you're not going to know what price it went under contract for. You will not know the sales price until it closes. However, you can keep the neighbors abreast of what's going on. You should do no less than a quarterly. I would do a monthly, like mini CMA for all the neighbors. I would tell them how many homes sold in the last month, what was the average sales price, and how many days on market. I'd make it that easy peasy. And if they want to know more, they can reach out to you. You've got to show them you know what's going on. I'd also get onto the city website and see if there are any projects or anything going on near them. You know, like most of the cities have pretty good websites. Overland Park is really good. You can go in and see who pulled a permit for a new swimming pool. You can see so much. You can see if any new businesses are going in or doing, yeah, you've got to know. This is what you now do for a living. So your homework is going to be to calculate your ideal farm size. So I will, like I said, I will post that form, the Select Your Farm worksheet. And even if you're not sure if you're going to do farming, I want you to pick a neighborhood, either your own or one that you know of or that you admire, and do the exercise of Select Your Farm so you can go through the exercise of doing the research. Make sense? Because the more you're researching neighborhoods, the more knowledgeable you're going to be and the more expertise you're going to grow. And here's what's really important, and I think I've kind of touched on it, but you want to come from contribution. To be a part of this community, you have to give back. So create a neighborhood directory of a booklet. Maybe you go around to all the small businesses around there, or even the chain businesses, and ask them, do they have any special coupons or anything that they'd be willing to, or discounts that they'd be willing to give to neighbors in the subdivision that's right next to them. Have a list of, tell them that you have a list of service providers that you can provide. I don't like, and you can do this, especially for this. I don't like to give them the whole list because I want them to have a reason to come back to me. So if I give them my list, they just need a painter, and I give them my list that has all my service providers, then, but maybe I can find or you highlight. What if you did a video highlighting the different local businesses? You go in and interview them and ask them about their services. Launch a neighborhood website or or the other one is start a social media group. I had a growth client who in her neighborhood, she created a Facebook page just for her subdivision. And so she would put in information about what was going on. She was also on the HOA, so she could keep people updated that way. She also would have like little neighborhood contests, giving a little prize on who had the best Halloween decorations, who had the best holiday, Christmas decorations, who had the prettiest flowers, the most beautiful lawn. And then she would post that on her on her Facebook page. And people really got into it because it felt like it was fun, right? And to enter, she would even have people enter if you want to be nominate yourself or nominate a neighbor for their beautiful yard. And then they had to fill out a form to do that. And then she got their contact information. Organize annual yard sales, or like Jaden's doing, charitable events, donation events. If you have a really tight neighborhood, I had an agent who lived on a cul-de-sac. And so they would do at least once a year, they would do like watch a football game in the driveway. And they'd cook hot dogs. And then they do the same, they'd organize like neighborhood Halloween, so that all the neighbors were getting together, and that agent would always make sure she had candy or food or something extra for that. So think about how you can creatively do these things, and that gives you a visual presence in that neighborhood. Hope that's getting your creative juices going. Let's talk about some scripts. What do I say? What do I say? Okay, so I'm going to share this script. However, I don't think this is enough. I do think you need to introduce yourself and say, if you do have a client interested, please don't ever say you have someone interested in buying or selling in this neighborhood if you don't. Now, if you have a buyer who's looking in this general area, you can say, quite honestly, I may have a buyer interested in this neighborhood. But please, please, please don't invent a buyer that is not there. And then you can ask, who do you know who is thinking of selling their home? I would never say, and I find it doesn't work if you directly say, are you interested in selling your home? They think, some get defensive, some people get defensive right away, and they think you're trying to snatch their home away from them. Because there are some shysters out there, unfortunately, and they've probably heard some of those stories. But who do you know? Do you know a neighbor? Oh, people love to tell on their neighbors. So that I would only use if I had a potential client for there. Now, it doesn't happen a lot, but you will hear some experienced agents in our office say, I'm looking for a property. And sometimes it's posted on our Facebook page. So, that my buyer needs a house in this area. You can use that buyer need and say, in my office, we have a buyer who's looking to live in this neighborhood. Again, be authentic about it. Be honest about it. I would, if I was going to go out and knock on doors, I would have something of value to be giving them, meaning it would be something I would start. One of the things I would start with is what's been happening in their neighborhood. Or I'd have a list of businesses nearby giving discounts to neighbors. I would have something of value. It doesn't necessarily have to be a material item. You don't have to go out and buy something. It can be information of value. Does that make sense? I will tell you one of the things that changed my husband's mind about door knocking, because he hated it, is that when he did have a buyer need, and they wanted to live in a specific neighborhood. He started knocking doors and he was able to find him a house in that neighborhood, I think after 1 or 2 days of knocking, and so that they could be close to their grandkids who lived in the same neighborhood. So it works. It's a great way to connect with people. You've got to find the reasons, but there are a lot of things of value, and we've already shared some of them. Start out with a donation drive if that's something you're more comfortable starting out with. Remember, it's being community minded that is going to be important. Oops, hold on. Let me get to the next slide. So a minimum, you have to touch them once a month, a minimum. Show up, and so if you can't afford mailing, it would be great if you could mail first and then you door knock afterwards, soon afterwards, so that you're following up on your messaging. I will tell you from all my experiences of door knocking and farming, from politics to real estate, don't assume when you mail something that everybody in the household saw that piece of mail. Every household has a mail police, meaning there's somebody in the household that goes through all the mail and decides what goes in the trash before everybody in the household sees it, right? I'm that person. Mike doesn't see most of the stuff that come. He just hands me the mail, I go through it, and then I trash stuff. So don't ever assume they all saw it. Give a local flavor. Include in your sharing of value, like I said, pictures of the neighborhood, neighbor specific content. Be visible at local markets. Wear your name tag when you're going to these to the local businesses and places that you frequent. And it just reinforces your marketing. Ask the local businesses. Many of them will let you set your business cards out. Get a little acrylic holder. I know Ram Lockeretti went around because he's Indian. He was targeting the Indian community. When he first got it started, he went around to many of the Indian restaurants and asked, "Hey, can I put my card up?" And then he got a table at almost every Indian event, community event that went on here in the beginning until he started to establish a business. Conduct surveys. Or is there something going on in your neighborhood that people are concerned about? Maybe it's worthwhile that you go to a city council meeting if there's some hot issues going on. At least look at the website and see what they're talking about. Because like if you live in Prairie Village with all the elections going, they've had some hotly contested issues lately in Prairie Village. You should be up on that if you're going to be farming any areas in Prairie Village. Announce your listings first. Like make sure the neighbors know when you have an upcoming listing if it's in your farm area. And it says here, wouldn't you like to pick your new neighbor? You kind of have to be careful about that in case there's some fair housing discrimination that a neighbor may be voicing. You got to be careful. But here's where kind of this progression happens when you are consistent. In month 1 to 3, your goal is to establish presence and educational content and market updates. Month 4 to 6, success stories and listings from the farm. So they don't have to be your listings for you to talk about them, right? Now, if you want to use pictures or whatever to highlight some listings in your area, you do need to ask the listing agent if you can do that. But to talk about something that came on the market or went under contract, you don't need their permission. 7 to 9 months, that's where you're going to do hyper local insights and community involvement updates, or you're going to do something in the community. And then at month 12 to 10, you're going to do year-end reviews about what's happened in that subdivision over the last 12 months. Give them a big picture of what happened during the year. And then look and read about what are they predicting for 2026 in the market. Is it going to be more seller's market, more a buyer's market? I mean, the economic analysts and housing analysts are starting to share predictions with us right now about what they're thinking about in 2026. Hold on, I'm going to click to the next. Okay, so build trust through focused activity. So again, if you have any listings, you get a listing, then you really you've got to shout it from the rooftops and share it with all the neighbors in that farm area and let them know. Try to see if any of our agents, if you don't have any listings in that area, see if any of our agents in our office have any listings in your farm area. And if you've got yourself on a search, you're going to see, check who those listing agents are. If it's somebody in our office, reach out to them and say, hey, I'd love to host an open house. Host educational seminars. So here's a farming strategy that one of our agents, Sam Eldolati, has used in a subdivision. He has sponsored and hosted home selling seminars to his target farm area because he knows that the demographic in that neighborhood is older, meaning they're baby boomers. And so he's made a targeted effort to give them educational seminars that will, so downsizing would be another one that to do for that group, right? And then join the local organizations and business groups and neighborhood associations. If you've got kids in school, then get more involved in the school. And then promote the listings in there, meaning if you meet somebody in an open house, be showing them those houses and be purposeful in trying to find buyers for those listings. Especially, you guys know we've shared it before. You can promote on your social media other agents' listings with their permission. So you see a listing in your farm area, say, hey, I would love to promote this on my social media. May I do that? And the agent says yes. Then you go door knock, because most agents, listing agents, aren't going to farm the whole area when they have a listing there. Truly, they're not. Connect with renters and landlords. If there are any in your farm area, that's a little harder because you usually can't door knock in apartment communities. They say no solicitation and they'll show you out. They will, but you don't know. See if any of the properties, if any of the properties in your farm area are rental properties. Does anybody know how you can go on MLS and pretty much determine that? How can you go onto MLS and look at the ownership of a house in that
Jake
farm?
suggested we go to Realist because it gives you the ownership of homes.
So what you can do is if their mailing address does not match the property address, or if it's an LLC, not a trust, but an LLC, it's probably a rental property.
Exactly.
And so you can say, hey, have you ever thought about selling your home, selling your investment property? Because sometimes it's not always fun to be a landlord. It's not. A lot of them got burned out during COVID because that was a really hard time to be a landlord. It was a really hard time. It was a hard time for everybody, but it was especially hard on landlords, and many of them had to let go of their properties. And with changes on Airbnbs and that type of thing, a lot of people have had to change. Like Airbnb owners, if they didn't get the certificate in KCMO that they were required to get to continue to do short-term rentals, then they had to change their property into long-term rentals. And some of them might say, I don't like this. I don't like doing the long-term rentals. Here's a way, I'm gonna leave you with a targeted way to try and get traction in a geographic farm area the fastest. And that is targeting any FSBOs, expireds, not withdrawns, I need to change that, canceled in your farm area. And here's what you're going to have to do manually in MLS. You're going to go and search expired and canceled listings in that farm area. Now, in MLS, when you do that, it's going to show you any property that had that status at some point in time. Then you need to go into each of those properties and look at the history and see if the last status was expired or canceled. That means it never went back on the market as far as you know. It didn't go on back on MLS and sell. Does that make sense? So at some point, and I would go back, I don't mind going back 5 years. Because some people, if they're not successful in selling their house, they'll sit there for a while. And sometimes it just wears them out and they'll just stay there, even though they did want to move or they needed to move. Who knows what changed in the world. I would target those houses and I would do a high touch and I would be touching them. I do like an 8x8 with them. I would touch them 8 times in a 4-week period to try to bubble them up because I know that at some point they did want to sell their home. Now, it may be a short list. You might get 2 to 5 properties that meet that criteria, but it's worthwhile trying to get traction with them, especially with a FSBO, because you know they wanted to sell. Does that make sense? I would do that. So I like to do hyper targeting within a farm area to try to get myself launched while I'm starting the overall farming efforts that we've talked about. Does that make sense? Tell me what questions you have about farming.
Jeff's got a question.
Yes.
I just had a general question just to make sure that I remember something from class.
Uh-huh.
We don't do mobile homes, right?
Yeah, if they're not, yeah, mobile homes are personal property and not real estate property.
Okay, because I live in a trailer park.
Yeah. However, you know, here, Jeff, your opportunity might be that some of those people are ready to move into a house.
True.
So you can help them see what the steps are to buying a home. And it actually, they might qualify for a home and they don't even know it, meaning they might think it's out of reach and it might not be. So I would, if that's where I lived, I would be targeting people and seeing if they want to know more about becoming a home buyer and helping them get on the path, because the things that hold people back from buying a house is they think it's going to be harder than it is, especially if you have an agent by your side. You have someone to guide you. They worry about their credit. And here's the beauty is you can get them, every lender works with a credit repair specialist. And getting them with someone like that, a lot of times to repair their credit is easier than they imagine. But you have to do it with a professional, because you can do the wrong things if you try to do a DIY on that. Good question. Who else? Who else has a question? Okay, now I want your takeaways. What'd you learn today and Tuesday?
All right, Jeff has another comment. What is it, Jeff?
Also, in the trailer park that I live in, there's a sign on the entrance to the neighborhood of like no soliciting.
Mm-hmm.
Does that? Does that matter if I'm a resident of the neighborhood?
It does. Here's what I would do. You can drop something off and not knock on the door. And then you can also just talk to neighbors, walk your neighborhood, get to know people.
My food drive, I'm not worried about no soliciting because I'm not soliciting business. I'm asking for donations, so I'm just setting it down and.
Yeah, Jaden's not selling anything. And if you're providing information, it's how you approach it. I would, even though if someone has a no solicitation right on their door, I'll just leave something. I will not knock because even though I don't feel like if I'm inviting to an open house, I'm really not selling anything. I'm giving them information, but I'm not going to disturb them.
Mhm.
I don't want to poke the bear.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Don't poke the bear if they have that on their door. Okay, give me some takeaways. I want to hear what you've learned about farming. What you didn't know, what you found interesting. Are you thinking that you might want to do farming?
Olivia's got a comment.
Uh-huh.
Was just surprised by how many different like niche groups you had mentioned in this whole presentation. Like one that really stuck out to me was the college investment homes.
Mhm.
Yes.
That I remember talking about it with my roommate before we started school and just never, her parents never got to it, but I can't imagine how much money those people can make because
Yeah.
it's consistently going to be rented out and
Yes.
I mean, people are fighting for the space, so I think that's.
And they don't have to be like super nice.
Yeah.
Like when the house I lived in college was not nice.
Yes, like my place, there's 8 renters within this one
Unit, yeah.
unit, and it's insane how much
Oh,
more they're
right.
able to get.
Yeah, you're
from that one.
charging $800 for each person. That's a lot of money.
And it, yeah, like,
Oh,
need to be
it
nice.
can be a cash cow.
Oh, yeah.
And most college parents aren't thinking that way. It is up to us. One of the things you have to think about is it is my job to show people opportunities in real estate that they probably have not thought of. And by knowing different targeted groups that could benefit from something like buying an investment property for their college kid, and then getting others to pay your mortgage or monthly mortgage, sweet. And then build equity in a home and sell it or hold it. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. I probably wouldn't hold it. I can't imagine trying to manage a college property after your own kid graduates and who you'd get in there. That's just me though. Who else? I'll call on people. Share. Who else is in the room with you?
Sorry. Douglas is here too.
Doug, give me a takeaway.
Well, I was just thinking of, can a person have 2 farm areas? And the answer I came up with is you can have it as long as you have the energy or in the finances to do the millers or whatever, but because I have a rental property, I have my own neighborhood I live in, and then I have a rental property, so I consider that my neighborhood too.
Mhm.
So I'm thinking of forming two areas, but and I'm just gonna go for the 200.
Well, and here's what I would do, Douglas. I would start on one and do it well and get consistent with it
Mhm.
before you start the other.
Okay.
Mhm. Yeah.
Because if you can't, because you've got to test yourself, you've got to see, am I going to be consistent and persistent?
Mhm.
Because if I can't be in one area, then I'm not going to be in 2 areas.
Right. Mhm.
So get yourself started and get a really good system and rhythm and know how you're going to market to them. You've got to have a plan of what are you going to do every month? What's that going to look like?
Right.
So that's where you start mapping out your farming plan now so that you know what are you going to do every month.
Mhm.
Don't just wing it. That's not a success plan.
Right.
Makes
Uh,
sense, but I love that. And then grow it to the second farm area. Beautiful. Love it. Okay. Online. Anna, give me a takeaway.
I have to think.
I put you on the spot, sorry. Elena, what about you while Anna's thinking?
Oh, I mean, you mentioned so much. I think it's picking and choosing what works the best. I think what you like, what your passion is, and just stick, like you said, intensity plus consistency, right? Creates a
Yes.
result. So I think for me, it's just, again, I mean, in the ocean of information and things I can do, I have to just pick something that works for me and analyze, like, okay, did it work? Did I get leads? People liked it? So kind of it's a lot of like trying and researching and analyzing what works.
Yeah,
So I don't
definitely.
want to do, if I am so bad at talking to people, like how can I do something that doesn't involve talking as much? Like, okay, let's do some projects together where you don't need to talk too much, or something like being creative and really thinking through like what brings result. I
Yeah.
mean, you don't want to do open houses if there are no leads generated. Or you can tweak it so you can generate leads. So I think it's like a lot of testing and trying and failing maybe, and
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, definitely. And here's the thing. I'm going to challenge all of you because Elena's right. There are things you're going to try that aren't going to work right away. Don't throw it out. Talk with your coach or with me about what you're doing. And usually, all forms of lead gen work, all of them work. We wouldn't be talking about all these different types of lead gen if people hadn't had really good success on all of them. What happens, like if you do open houses and you're not getting results, it's usually things that you're just not skilled at yet, or you're not knowledgeable. You need to build that so that you do get good. So don't, and it's usually a conversion. It's usually about your conversations and how you're approaching and talking to people. That's usually, it's the conversation that's keeping you from converting or getting their contact information. So know that while, like what Elena said, it's trying and testing out these different types of lead gen. Don't do like 2 open houses and tell me they don't work, I'm not doing another. That's not really how, if you keep just switching lead gen all the time, you're never going to get better at in-depth skills and knowledge, if that makes sense, with any of them if you give up too soon. It's just you got to come at it at a different angle or do something a little different or massage it, that type of thing. Anna, did you have something that you came up with?
Yeah, I wanted to add on to what you were saying that like consistent watering is better than like heavy watering.
Mhm. Yeah.
And, just getting in the routine of being consistent and all that.
Well, it's just like a plant. If we're going to use the watering analogy, it's just like a plant. If you don't water a plant enough, it's going to die. But if you overwater it, it's going to die, and then you're not going to have another chance. So you've got to water and fertilize any of the activities that you're doing for them to grow and for you to have success in them. None of them happen overnight. You might get some lucky experiences and some lucky leads, but to really grow in any of these from farming, that's why I said if you want to do farming, I'm going to tell you, you have to make a commitment to yourself. I'm doing this for a whole year. I am not giving up. If I have to tweak stuff and do something differently, I am doing this for a whole year because I know that's the time commitment I need. That doesn't mean you're not going to get leads until 1 year. It just means it's going to take that long to really start to see the benefits and the momentum that starts to build. So we're over. I appreciate you guys participating. And I will, like I said, I will share the Select a Farm form. It always hides for me. I don't know why I can't find it, but I will. It's there. And that's your homework. I want to see those on Tuesday. I want to see the farm area that you picked out. And remember, this is more about you learning how to do research and learn about an area. If you choose not to farm, that's fine. But I want you doing the homework so that you can have some practice on figuring out what the turn rate and what the potential is of a neighborhood, because this will be helpful if you have a listing to figure out what's the history and trends in that neighborhood. All right. All right, you guys, I'm going to let you go. I appreciate you. Have a
Thank you
good
so
day.
much.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Kristen.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Hope you feel better.
Thank you. Me too.